services, and it goes into on page 12, the top of page 12, how you select. A district may select an attorney or law firm to award a contingent fee contract only in accordance with, and it has the government codes. In procuring legal services under contingent fee contract, a district shall select a well-qualified attorney or law firm on the basis of demonstrated competence, qualifications, and experience in the requested services, and attempt to negotiate a contract with that attorney or law firm for a fair and reasonable price. So the competence in those pieces are what we're supposed to be looking at, and then negotiate the pricing. Last month you all approved our contract with Walsh Gallegos, so that we would still have legal services at this time, but we wanted to go ahead and start looking at what are our options. So that's what we're trying to do now, is gather information, and in the memo that was provided for you, looking out to other ISDs, we have 13 surrounding districts that responded. Of those 13, 6 districts contract with a law firm other than or in addition to Walsh Gallegos. We've reached out to those firms and are in the process of obtaining statements of qualifications and proposal letters outlining their potential retainer fees and hourly rates. But at the time of this board meeting, we had not received them all. So we wanted to wait until we had them all so that we can put them in a document and have ours listed, and then comparison notes to show what the differences are. Of course, when you go back to the policy says qualifications and so forth is your first and foremost stop. It should not be the pricing. It should be your first stop should be who has the qualifications. My assumption would be these districts have vetted those law firms, so they would meet that qualification, and then we'll look and see how it compares to what we're currently paying Walsh Gallegos. And then we'll bring that back to you again. Hopefully we'll have that by January if we can get them to send us the information. And then from that point, we can find out if you'd like us to pursue, looking at another law firm, or we find that ours is comparable and we wish to stay with them, and we can make decisions from that point. But I just felt like we needed more information before we could make a decision.
Anybody got any questions, comments on that? Okay, next is item 4D, which is to invitation to district tour January 12th. And I understand that you had the Lorenzo's Paz Education Foundation took a tour, and
it was the chamber leadership team. They do. They tour the city and the public works, and the district's one of their stops during I think a 6-month leadership training that they go through. And so we took them on a tour of all of our campuses and showed them all that we're trying to do within the walls. You can see, and we showed them what's happening outside too, the new athletic complex and so forth, but we wanted them to see our new lab, our phase 1 labs, our blended learning in the classroom. And as we were doing that, I thought, I've wanted to do this, especially since we've come back from COVID, to really open our doors up to showcase some of the great things going on. I tell you about it, I tell others about it, but to see it, I could see even on the faces of those that attended this tour, they were amazed, and they said, we had no idea. And so I thought, this is something that would be really good for you as a board of trustees. We come and we share with you, and we share pictures, and we have students tell you things, but to actually see them in the classrooms doing the amazing things that are being done, I think will be very beneficial for you as a board of trustees as you make decisions moving forward. And then, of course, Education Foundation. There's other groups that I think would benefit from this, but I wanted to invite you for the next one. So we're planning one for January 12th. It would be from 8 to 12 in order to get to all campuses and see everything and immerse yourself in that. And that's still moving pretty quickly to see things. We don't tarry much there, even though we tend to want to, especially with some of the cuties that are sharing information with us. But I would like to offer this as a invitation to you. I know that's difficult for those of you that work, but I thought that's why I was trying to give you plenty of time, so maybe you could work it out to be a part of this. So that's what this invitation is. If you'd let me know as soon as you can, I'll have an itinerary and so forth. You get RSVP by January 5th, so we'll make sure we have, because we're also going to invite the Education Foundation members to join us and see if any of them can come. So I'm hoping to have a good group of 20. You as Board of Trustees, we would post it as a meeting, since you will be walking and talking and essentially be a walking quorum. So to be legal, we will make sure that it's posted so that you can talk school business. You won't be making school decisions, but so that you can ask questions and talk legally. So any questions about that?
Well, I my own impression, because I've been in public schools as a teacher as well, but again, to have the opportunity to see what we've been looking, what we've been planning, and with the pathway, the Panther pathway, all those things that we've implemented in the last 2 or 3 years, is kind of coming together. The pieces are all coming together now, and actually see that being applied in the classroom would I think it'd be valuable to anybody that's available to show up and attend. It's a half a day, but some people like Mr. Recker and I, we don't have a job, so but we're available anytime. But the people that work at jobs, it's kind of hard to get off and do that. So, but I think it would be a great opportunity for the board members to take a look at that stuff and see those things we've been talking about in action in the classrooms that we've been working on the last couple of years and talking about.
Well, I hope you can make it. I think you'll really enjoy it, and we'll even feed you lunch.
Anybody else got any comments on that? Okay, next is calendar of upcoming events. Ms. Cook?
So we're winding down this semester. That is hard to believe. So Holiday Open House is this Wednesday, 9 to 3 p.m. at our new administrative offices over at 748 West Goodnight. So don't forget, we'll need to remember to put a note on this door over here, because I'm sure some people are going to show up over here. But we're looking forward to that. Band concerts, we have at AC Blunt at 6:30 p.m. That evening, so you can eat a lot of food and then plan to go to a concert that evening. Whoville, it's this Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30. They've decked their halls, and it's looking great over there, so looking forward to that. Of course, what we're all looking forward to, December 19th through January 3rd, the district will be closed, and we will all be enjoying a great time with family and friends. Then you see January and February activities that are coming up, so mark your calendars, and we'll keep adding to that. The spring will get very, very busy, and before we know it, we'll be sitting here talking about graduation.
We got comments on calendar? Next is item 4F, set date for superintendent evaluation. Again, we need to set a special date. That's all we're working on that day, is just a superintendent's evaluation, so we need to kind of pull that together. And looking at the January dates, the first is the 9th, or we're going to have a discussion later on about the board meeting, because moving that date, so it's available sometime in January, so we need to kind of and then next Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so the district's going to be closed in January. So, and then the first really available day for the board meeting would be the 23rd, and so that kind of pushes the superintendent evaluation, unless we do it not on a Monday, but do it on another day during the week. So I throw that out as an item to think about in discussion, and we'll kind of determine what date we want to do it. So.
An hour before the meeting?
You think it'd take us an hour?
Is that enough time?
I don't believe so.
No?
I mean, it's always been the board's prerogative, but normally we schedule that totally independent, in fairness to the superintendent, to make sure that
There's not a time restraint.
we allocate enough time and we don't have
Yeah,
time
we don't have to
restraints
rush
on what we're
through
trying to
before the board
discuss.
meeting. Yeah.
So when you look at the January calendar, John and I were discussing that, it gets pretty crazy. You would think it would slow down. We don't come back until January 4th, January 4th. So in a little bit, we're going to be requesting to move the board meeting that would normally be held on the 9th, because there's no way we can pull all of that together for you by the 9th. So normally in January, we do move the board meeting, the regular board meeting. The 16th is a holiday, so the next day for the regular board meeting would be the 23rd. And that's been our common practice. It usually is later. It is later in. So if you decide to move the board meeting to the 23rd, that's your regular board meeting, then January 12th would be the tour, which I think hopefully you'll all be able to attend. So that's, some time out of that week. So it might be best to look at the week of the 16th, which would have to be the 17th, 18th, or 19th potentially for the superintendent evaluation. Just kind of throw in some, I've looked at this a lot more than you have, so I was trying to figure out how to do it so you're not stacked in a week having a lot to do. And then that's having the evaluation on the 17th, 18th, or 19th, then would be able to have all the documents ready, because after you do the evaluation, you always bring it to the January board meeting for contract recommendations and so forth. So you'd have everything in place to do by the 23rd if you so chose. So that's just some thoughts.
I mean, I'm available any date, so, but again, is the people that have the 8 to 5 jobs out there, that's the people we're trying to work around, so. I don't know if you had a chance to look at your calendars, or you can kind of give a projected date. We can kind of pencil that in right now, or what, so.
I kind of agree with Kara's assessment on the weeks and the events that we have. I'm available on the week of the 16th, either the 17th or the 18th. That works for everybody else.
And we are looking at an evening, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So with the 17th or 18th?
18th works for me if it works for everybody
Okay.
else.
I'm good. 18th good for you?
Usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's some kind of kids games or
Yeah.
sports.
Yeah.
and
So
events.
18th is a
usually
Wednesday,
would be
so,
the day.
yeah. I mean, it's good for me. How about you, Adele?
I haven't made my schedule yet, so as long as I can commit right now.
Yeah.
Next week's gonna be a different
Dave, you okay
story.
on the 18th?
Any day.
I know. Juanita, how about you?
It's fine. The other thing is that I don't know if the 9th is too early, but if people were planning, if they had already marked that on their calendars.
I would like to request if you could do it after the district tour. I think if possible,
tour?
I think it would be very beneficial to see all that we've been doing I would just like to ask that. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. But I just think seeing what we're doing before you do my evaluation, I think would be very beneficial for all of us.
Well, I kind of see, that like I say, part of your evaluation is stuff we're doing in the classrooms and how we're doing that. So if we have a visual reference to do that, then that gives an opportunity to actually look at what's happening in the classrooms and that, because, but again, so the 18th, so again, Olivia, you good with the 18th? Juanice, you good with the 18th? Okay, 18th of January.
So what time would you want it 6:30, 7?
Yeah, I'm
better
available any time of day. We can do it earlier or later, whatever time you guys want again. So
It's
Yeah,
more
if
feasible for me to get here at 7.
7.
7 good with everybody? 7 p.m. on the 18th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody too. January is one of those months this year. It's going to be kind of hard because we got everything and the holidays in between and board meetings and a lot of stuff happening during that time period. So, and we got people coming back to school, so everybody getting geared back up for the second semester. So, okay, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So, okay, set a date for the property insurance workshop. again, my understanding is in the past we've had a workshop to talk about the insurance again, and we probably need to talk about it.
Well, we didn't have to for 3 years because it was
It's
set
locked
and we
in.
didn't have to worry about it. We had a set rate, but as you know, last year we had a workshop because our rates went up significantly, and Chase from Carlisle Insurance has notified us that it looks like our rates are going up significantly again. So he offered to come and share with you what's going on and why and what it could potentially look like, because those new rates go in effect in March. Cheryl and I budgeted in the current budget a 10% increase, but it's looking like it may be more than that. So we wanted to offer that to you, to have a special meeting to discuss that. Do it at the regular meeting, and he could come and share with you whatever works for you. We just want to make sure you are informed and that we hear from him, straight from him, what's going on.
So our policy renews in March, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Is it March 1 or
Yes.
it's March 1?
And we were trying to do it. He requested to do it as late in January as possible because he will, how did he put it? He will have the most accurate.
Information and the best proposals.
So the end of January to, 1st of February, somewhere in there, even by the February board meeting.
I
If
was
you
just
wanted to
gonna
do it during the
suggest-
February board meeting.
Yeah, which is Monday the 6th.
But you'll have to be prepared to make a decision, because I think he was going to bring options again of what could not be done. Of course, we could probably get that information to you prior so you could look over it and we could kind of get you information. But once again, that's a big decision with little turnaround time due to the circumstances.
So Cheryl, remind me, in the past, I know, I'm talking several years ago, we had where we went out to market and we had several vendors come up with proposals for us.
In 2020, we actually issued an RFP. No one responded except for Carlisle Insurance, the CPAT and PCAT insurance company. That was year before last. Then this year, fast forward to the current year that we're in, is when the market really got unfavorable. I'm going to use that word. And we had to change the way we structured our insurance. And that's why we had the detailed workshop last year. And I'll go ahead. I had a conversation. He actually came to the office last Monday and said that the market is not really much better than it was last year, and that the current insurance providers are requesting to have less of a liability, which means they're wanting, instead of covering $10 million and sharing it among different insurance companies, that they're wanting to have the responsibility of less insurance, which means we need to be adding more insurance carriers to help layer our insurance to the level that we would like for it to be. And so what he's doing is he's searching and trying to find the new people that are entering into the market and have conversations with them to say, okay, this is what I have. What can you be offering for me to put this package together? So that's what actually is happening now, and that's why he asked for me to ask Kara and you. The more time he has to talk to more people, he feels the better of the proposal he can come up with, the better deals with the newer insurance companies. The major provider of insurance that we had was AmRisk, and they provided our insurance when we were covered for Hurricane Harvey. And their one last year is saying, okay, we're going to put the brakes on this, and we need to back off, and you need to help. You need to get more providers of insurance to help us, because we no longer want to cover $80 million or however they had it structured. So this year, that piece is growing because the insurers are wanting even less responsibility than they had last year. So he's got a lot more people that are going to be part of his decision-making and proposal-making.
Let me ask a question. So by less, do you mean that they would take, in a sense, the 80 and break it among different carriers? So someone's got 20, someone's got 30. So, okay.
Yes. And we did that last year, which it's always been layered, but not like we had last year. During Hurricane Harvey, there was, I believe, 5 major insurance companies. The biggest one was AmRisk, and they had the biggest portion, and the other ones were smaller. But this time, AmRisk is backing off, so we don't have a choice. We have to add more people into the scenario.
And I recall him talking to us that this was not going to be, when we had the workshop last year, that this was not going to be something that was just a short-term thing, because as he explained it, we did very well. They could offer us that low fixed cost because we were in the soft market. Well, now as costs have gone up, claims have gone up, we're now in the hard market. And so that's when we started incurring for the first time these higher premiums. So it sounds like this is something that we're going to have to keep on our radar and be prepared for, and maybe this next budget cycle up our contingency.
I think one of the components, though, if my recollection is good, with Carlisle, we're looking at a broker that's going out into the market
Yes.
and is securing this through several different carriers. The question now for them in the market is, what's their comfort level at how much? 50 million, 20 million, 30 million? But we're getting a proposal from one broker that's going into the market. You know, basics of business is competition. We're not really, I don't know that, I don't have a level of confidence that we're getting a true market price by only going with one broker that's proposing. Now, last time we spoke to Chase, I believe he told me most of the carriers that are available are normally the same that are available to all the brokers, whether it's broker A, B, or C. I don't know whether that's true or not. My point would be, how do we know that we're getting a true fair market price? We're only going with one broker and not going out and asking a request for proposal from several different brokers that can bring their package to us.
I do know that that will be quite a task. I remember last year when we did this, I actually reached out to our insurance broker, and we have pretty large policies ourselves, but even she said there's not that many brokers in our market that can cover policies that large. So not to say there's not a competition, because there's still some options out there, but I did reach out to quite a few brokers after we had our workshop and we talked about no one submitting any bids. I did reach out to quite a few, and a lot of them could not cover something of that magnitude. So I don't know if that will affect you guys if you try to find someone else, but I did 100% experience that last year when we did this.
Well, you don't know that unless you go out for a request for proposal and see if anybody even applies, submits their credentials or not. I mean, it may be exactly what you're saying. They may be the only ones that submit submit for the RFP.
Right.
But I mean, now's the time to do it, not in a month or two or.
If we were going to do a request for proposal, we'd have to jump on it now.
How much lead time would you need to prepare that?
I would.
Because if we could do that simultaneously while Carlisle is doing, or they could do it under the RFP.
I was looking at the timeline last time that we went out to bid or requested proposals, and we did that at the January meeting, and then we came up with proposals for the next board meeting in February. I mean, it wasn't easy, but we did get it done.
And the other thing is when we go out, we advertise, we use our local newspaper, correct?
We do use our local paper. We put it on the website, and with a case like that, I mean, we do have the option of putting it in the corpus paper.
That's what I was thinking, is because this is a larger RFP. And so if we're looking just at local, how many local brokers are there? How many people in the industry brokerage profession are looking at the progress and index? But if we also used corpus, we might be able to tap additional potential brokerage firms if we're going out for an RFP. And if we've experienced time and time again using just a local newspaper and our website and we're not getting responses, then maybe we need to look at how we're advertising and how we're putting out the word for RFPs.
Did we have any of our current, because we stacked this year, did we have any of our providers actually get sold out? I know that's been very common.
Answer, I do not know
For-
that answer.
Okay, I was just curious. I know that that's been happening with everything that's recently been going on. A lot of them have been dismembering and selling out and becoming new companies or whatever. So I was curious because it is affecting rates on the lower level. So
Chase did allude to that, the change in the market. And
Mhm.
I guess that's what he was probably referring to.
yeah, they've been doing really short notice. Your policies moved to this company lately.
I should know this, but what was our premium this last year? What was the amount of the premium?
It was,
Million.
I know I put in the
Roundabout.
budget 1.2 million, and that's a little bit higher than the last, now I apologize, I don't know the dollar
That's fine,
amount.
but it's a lot of money, right?
Yes,
So,
think you
I
rounded
mean,
up.
it's like
just for the,
1.1.
just to understand what we're talking about, we're not talking just a little bit of change here, we're talking premium in excess of $1 million. So, I mean, I think it behooves us to see what's out in the market. Again, we may find exactly what Mr. Carlisle's telling us, or we may not, but I think it's incumbent upon us to be diligent and see what's out there.
When we set our meeting with him, can we ask about any of our policies being sold, or
I can
um,
ask him if that,
just so that we can, know those company names and their reputations? That's where, as we start doing that, because I know as they start breaking down, you might end up with one policy that's really great, and you might end up with another company that's not so great.
Okay.
So.
So, I'm kind of hearing the board, that we probably need to table this. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you guys, to table this action item? And
You mean tabled the setting of the workshop
yes,
item?
Well, if correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're talking about a workshop, number one.
yeah,
And then number two, we're talking about that's time sensitive as a request for proposals. I think in order for you to go out to do a request for proposal, you have to have board action to require that, and that's not listed as an action item on this agenda.
is correct, it's not an action item. But I can put a timeline together and come up with the pertinent information as to when we would need need for you to give me permission formally to request an RFP, and then maybe whenever
Maybe
you're
if
gonna have a
y'all-
meeting.
Yeah, I started to say, if we're meeting the next time on January 18th, that would probably be, if you wanted to, we could have that as an action item before you do the superintendent's evaluation, because that's a pretty simple action item, because at that point, we'll have it all put together with the timeline, and you're basically saying, yes, go out for a request for a proposal, and that'll get the ball rolling. I don't know how we would get it done quicker than that. Would you feel comfortable with that, with her starting with, if you approved on the 18th, what the timeline would look like from that point?
I think that's going to be cutting it close, because we would need to have our workshop in early February, since the new coverage would kick in March 1. Right? So if we don't act on it until mid-January, and then you
Well, I'm just,
advertise and go out, how long can you let that advertisement, are we looking at just a week?
we
or-
did it last
2
year,
weeks?
late January. It was late January, and then we brought it back, and we got it back in February. I mean, it was a very quick turnaround there too.
Oh, right. Technically, we can do that,
Right.
but we're trying to gather to see if there's more competition out there to,
Right.
to allow time for folks to respond. And so if they don't see it on the 19th and they see it on the 21st and then it's due the 23rd, people may just say pass.
Well, I mean, if y'all
With
like
the- with
to
that
meet
real quick
earlier,
turnaround.
that's fine. I was just trying to attach it to something.
Something that
a
we're already
meeting you're already
scheduling,
having, yeah.
yes.
But you just tell us when you want to meet, and we'll work to get it together.
Well, if the consensus of the board is to move in that direction,
You do that.
I don't know, there's availability for a special special meeting for one item, but
Well, we know John and David can be there.
See my calendar for January, nothing on it.
You just need 2 more after that, so.
If we're gonna put it in the newspaper, the first available chance to put in the Rance's paper would be here
Sorry, I mean Mr.
Is it-
Mullinex and Mr. Rector.
into the newspaper.
because our regular February meeting's on the
Ready
6th.
to put in the corpus
right?
paper early.
No, it's not? Oh, it's the 13th. See, that's just a couple weeks before. I mean, we'd have to have everything nailed down and make a
Let's
decision
just meeting and say, giving me the blessing to go for it.
on the 13th.
Yeah, if y'all want to, yeah, because basically what we're needing is to have another meeting that is an action item so that you give the blessing to move forward with this. So, so at whatever point you want to do that, if you want to come back right after the holiday and us have a quick meeting for that, we can do that. And then we can get the ball rolling early January.
Any ideas?
We can still set the workshop if we want to have it around our,
Yeah, and on that note, we were just talking that if you're going out for RFPs, I don't know that he would do a workshop at that point, because now you're basically putting him in the mix for, he's gonna be creating an RFP to submit to you. So I don't know if it's kosher to ask him to come do a workshop to talk about something, and then he still has to put an RFP in because we're questioning his numbers. I mean, we can ask him, but
well, let me just clarify. I'm not
Submit his
questioning.
numbers like
yeah,
everyone else, and
right.
then let's figure them all out, which would be
right, but
pretty
yeah, because he's
difficult.
gonna have to put that together, and then,
Sense.
and I'm just wondering too, I'm just talking off the top of my head, because if that's good business, because you're bringing him in and giving him an opportunity to give you a face-to-face discussion about what he's offering you, but everybody else that's gonna put an RFP in would not have that same opportunity. So I'm wondering if that's good.
No, that's not.
I think
let me-
it's kind of
let me-
unfair.
let me-
You get in trouble because I mean,
Let me clarify what I was saying
I don't
before
think
we
that's
go
what
down
we're-
this road of getting in trouble.
I don't think that's what we're,
No.
let me put
what I'm
let me
saying
put a
is-
different spin on it.
Okay,
So we have an approved vendor that we're doing business with.
right,
He's our approved vendor of choice, and we have a current contract with him. We want to know what the state of the market is.
okay.
He's our vendor. Why wouldn't we go to him and say, hey, can you come in here and give us a quick 20, 30-minute overview of what the market is today, because we're fixing to have to renew. I mean, we're not
Then
asking.
you're underhandedly getting bids on the outside of his knowledge, and then.
No,
asking
we're
him-
asking him to
not
educate.
underhandedly, but we're asking him to do something that we're also doing on the side.
We're asking him to educate us as a vendor of what's out in the market. We're his customer. What has changed last year to this year? We're considering possibly doing an RFP. I mean,
We will have already done an RFP. He is presenting us his RFP, correct, during the workshop?
no,
He would be presenting his renewal, and he won't do that until late January or early February, because he's still working, trying to work up, as the way you put it, deals, and trying to build a unit of different carriers to cover the full cost of insurance that we need, because not one carrier will do it on their own. But let me clarify what I was saying. What I was saying is to allow, since we have not had very much response when we've gone out for insurance over the last few years, if we look at how we do that, and we do that now, and certainly Carlisle can submit a proposal. If we need a workshop to discuss whatever proposals have come in, what have you, we can still set that for first week of February. My concern is that I don't want us to wait until it's a week before insurance kicks in to have a workshop on it, because that doesn't leave us any room to try to get through it and take some action, and then for the carriers and everything to get in place with a short time frame. I'd rather give more lead time for the RFP if we're going to do that. Because a week turnaround is to me, I think that's too short to advertise for something of this magnitude. And if you're going to have people who are going to submit a request for the first time, then that package has got to be very comprehensive in order for them to make it worth their while to crunch their numbers and get a proposal to us.
So are you saying then we would have a board meeting to set forth doing an RFP, and we'd go ahead and set a workshop later? So we do that towards the 1st of January, and then the 1st of February would set a budget workshop, at which time we would discuss, it sounds like we would be discussing the response to the RFP, which would probably include Carlisle, and at that time, if he
Or only Carlisle if it happens again.
Carlisle or
for
whomever,
the fifth year,
and
what
then
have you.
hear from him or others, however you wish to move forward, that would probably fit. But so I apologize, I misunderstood the
timing.
the cart before the
Yeah.
horse before the cart.
Okay.
So.
Well, considering y'all are fixing to roll off on vacation, do you even have time to put this together in the next 3 days? To be able to,
Now, that's why I asked how much lead time do you need to
This is
prepare
a lot of work.
putting out an RFP. Some of,
I just need, if you tell me what day you're gonna say, yes, do the RFP and it's on record, then I can make it happen.
Basically, when will you meet again? Get that.
can we meet when school's not officially on? For like a special, I guess we can, a special meeting?
Anytime.
It's just kind of hard to get people here within the holidays.
Otherwise, they're closed
If we're
till the
gonna be
12th.
back on the 4th,
Yeah.
our original meeting was gonna be Monday the 9th. There's not gonna be any other business discussed except that one action item.
special meeting for this one item. I think in all fairness to staff, we need to give them enough time to prepare it and to have it advertised. So I'd be willing to come to a special meeting for that.
So I'm here like the 9th, that was the original scheduled board meeting anyhow, just moving a special meeting to that date. And it'd be short and sweet, hopefully, and, we can, open and discuss and vote on and close and move on. So what time you want, 6, 7 on the 9th? I mean, it's up to you guys, I mean, I don't know if you guys can be here, work here, I know you can't, Victor, it'd be 7 o'clock, be better for you, wouldn't it?
Would you say on the 4th or
The
the
9th,
The night.
9th of January,
Yeah, I could probably get here at 6.
6, okay.
Can you get here at 6?
I don't know about you, Adele.
I get my new
6?
vacation time.
You here at 6? Olivia, can you be here on that day at 6?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, hold on, let me see here. Let me double check.
Well,
Yes.
you know, and the problem with that would be the fact that somebody had to come in and post the agenda. You know,
Yeah, we'll be back on
I mean, you can do
Wednesday.
that from home, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we'll be here.
Oh, that's right.
We'll be here.
The kids don't come back until that
The
day.
staff is
Yeah,
back,
the staff
right.
comes back that Thursday and Friday. So, yeah. So you'll be. So we can go ahead and post it and do all the legal stuff we have to do and get it 48 hours prior to. So that'll be covered.
It's the 9th at 7 PM?
Sick.
At
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Got it.
Okay. So special board meeting on the 9th of January at 6 p.m.
Get to
Get
see
my
each
new
other a lot in
vacation time.
January.
Okay.
January's gonna be a busy month.
Using a month
Okay.
for this.
Start the 2023 off running. Okay.
What I did this year.
Okay. Next is financial reports, accounts payable, budget status, tax collection, FEMA projects, and ESSER expenditure report. First on it's items 5A, accounts payable, Ms. Stansberry.
Anyone has questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Yep. Anybody have any questions on accounts payable and the board report? Anybody have any questions on the budget status investment?
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
Just on the budget status report, under the food service budget, we've realized more state revenue than our current year estimate of 4,183. It caught my eye because it's red and it's over, which is a good thing.
We've actually received more money than we had budgeted. TDC, I'm gonna ask, they've given us some reimbursements that we weren't expected, and surprise, we've realized more money than we budgeted.
Okay, I just wanted to know where it was coming from.
Yeah.
So it's a one-time, since it's a
This-
reimbursement?
This, as far as I know, is unless they decide in the spring to try to bail us out of some other hardship, that they've got extra money that they divided among schools.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any more questions? Next is tax collection summary for November 2022. Any questions on that? The FEMA projects report. Anybody have questions on the FEMA projects?
Any update on the appeal?
Oh, I'm working on it.
Okay.
I finally got some statements or invoices, but I can't just pass them as I receive them. They're wanting me to itemize everything which means I'm waiting on some additional information, so
Okay.
it's slowly going.
And next is the ESSER expenditure report. Ms. Cook, you have any comments on that? Or?
This was an additional report that was requested to just show, so we have it from January to present. Just tried to break it down, where the money's being spent, how it's being spent, and so if you have any questions, I will try to answer them.
Is this going to be added to our collection of monthly reports?
Yes,
Okay,
until the money's gone.
okay.
John, just for public information from January to the present, we've expended, what, 2.9, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's good. 2,970,761.39.
Yeah, it's on page 1 of the ESSER user funds. Is that what you're getting at?
That was just for public information.
And this is ESSER 3, yes.
These were the special funds after COVID, and the areas that they are for more time for instruction for students, innovation in curriculum and instruction, additional services like interventionist counseling, social emotional wellness, infrastructure, supplies, oversight, technology. Those are the areas that it's a grant funded, and there were certain areas we can spend the money on. We had to have approval before we could spend it. So all this has been vetted through TEA.
Any more comments, questions on that? Next is item 6 is consent agenda. First item is consider and approve minutes of the November the 14th, 2022 regular board meeting. Does anybody have any comments or questions on the minutes? If you had time to review them, any corrections? Okay, do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda item?
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Butler, second by Mr. Director. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next is action items 7, which we've already considered at 7A. Moving on to 7B. Consider an approved donation from the Port of Corpus Christi. Ms. Cook?
Through our partnerships of working with our region, Port of Corpus Christi invited, well, first of all, they had put Charlie Marshall as available to have the portable science lab, STEAM lab, that our students were able to enjoy. Was it last week, week before last? All the weeks are running together. Fantastic opportunity for our students. And then Ms. Picarazzi was invited to a luncheon along with the other districts or campuses that had received that opportunity. And while there, they were each given a $10,000 check for their campuses. So we're bringing that to you tonight, and to accept that, this will be put into the activity fund, and then she's working with her staff on a plan of action for using this great funding for the campus. So we're very thankful to the Port of Corpus Christi for thinking of Aransas Pass.
It's kind of good to hear they're coming this side of the bridge.
Yes.
So
Yes, they're taking notice of us over
Yeah.
here.
that's good. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? Okay, do you have a motion to approve the donation from the Port of Corpus Christi to Charlie Marshall Elementary?
So move.
Motion made by Ms. Butler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Galvan. All in favor say aye.
Mr. Flores.
Mr. Flores.
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys kind of sound the same down there. I turn and you notice. Okay. Motion seconded by Mr. Flores. I'm sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Congratulations.
Next, consider to approve the donation from Tim's In and Out. Ms. Cook?
Another donation that was received by AC Blunt. This is $900 to be used for their campus angel tree. So another great contribution.
Anybody questions, comments on that?
It's so good to see this local generosity, right?
Yes, yes, we're very thankful.
Now, do we send them some type of, card or something,
Send
kind
them
of?
cards, thank yous. We
Thank
post
you
it on
and that.
Facebook. We try to make as big a deal about it because we want them to come on back and
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
again.
Keep it coming.
We want to make sure they're recognized for it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the donation from Tim's In and Out to AC Blunt School? Motion made by Diasis. Ms. Diasis, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hill. All in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next is consider and approve vendor for serving line at Aransas Pass High School. Ms. Cook again.
I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Stansberry.
With your permission, we requested proposals, and we received two. We had Mission Restaurant Supply and Jean's Restaurant Supply. And the tabulation sheet is here for you to review also. And with talking with Miss Mann, I asked her if she would come because she's the one that knows exactly everything about this serving line that they've been working on for a while. But we chose Mission. Their proposal included some specific details about electrical. The electrical, yeah, it started with an E. With the electrical upgrades that we already know that need to be done, and Mission actually included that in their pricing. where Jeans did not include it, which means we would have to go out at that point and seek electricians to come in, and that would be an added cost, which would be on us. In Mission, we've worked with them before. They have a good reputation. We have a good rapport with them. There's been a couple of issues. We have used Jean's Restaurant Supply, but there's been a couple of issues about some equipment that we've received. When they went to install it, not all the parts had been delivered. And when they did get the parts to come in, they got the wrong parts. So Cindy, Miss Mann, and her people are still waiting for the equipment to be completely installed. So we also included in your packet what the serving line's gonna look like. We have front view and rear view. It's all shiny and stainless, and we're excited. I did ask Cindy to talk with our representative that she's been using. It's a 14-week turnaround. Once we decide to approve the vendor and we give them our purchase order, they turn around and give Countercraft their purchase order. So from that time, the clock starts ticking, and they said 14 weeks to manufacture it and then get it delivered here. We're looking probably the first week of April. Definitely before school's out, but it wouldn't happen during spring break. Probably the first week of April.
That was my question. How is it going to impact the serving line at the cafeteria at the high school? Is it going to impact it? If we do it during the spring break, are they going to be able to do it in a week?
Yes, we have a backup plan. You know, the kitchen's still be able still cooking through everything, and we have a backup plan how we can get that food still served to the high school students. But I would talk to Ms. Cook and Mr. Bennett and Mr. Todd how we're gonna do that. But we're not gonna have to cook off campus or anything. Everything's still gonna be cooked there, and we're still gonna be able to serve the students. Probably in the dining room, we have hot cameras and everything to serve them, and still, we'll probably modify the menu, but we're not gonna have any disruptions as far as the scheduling of the lunchtime or serving and all that.
I know, Mr. Galvan and Mr. Reck can educate me. I know a number of years back, didn't we used to, before they had the cafeteria line there at the high school, didn't they make the lunches at AC Blunt and bring them over there to serve them lunches and box lunches or something like that?
They were remodeling the high school kitchen. They had to use AC Blunt to cook the food there and then move it, but we won't have to be doing that.
So, but it's a fallback in case we've done it before, so we know how to do that, right? So if something happens that extends past, worst case scenario, if something happens and they extend past spring break, then we got to be able to feed those kids. So.
Well, this is not going to be spring break, right? Because did you say it would be April?
We're looking at 14 weeks, and having the deliver it would bring it to the first week of April.
Okay. And how long is once it arrives, how many days will it take for them to complete installation?
The company that's awarded the bid, they're gonna have a couple of days to come in and take out the old serving line, and then Countercraft is gonna bring in the new serving line, get that set up. So we're looking about a week, maybe.
Okay.
A week. I mean, it might be a little bit more than that, just depending, but we have something in place to make sure it doesn't interrupt the cooking and the feeding of the students. And it's gonna be in the serving line area. It won't be in the dining room where the students eat. It won't be in the kitchen where they prep it. It's just gonna be on the serving line.
Any more comments, questions on that?
John, will you read just for the public record, read the tabulation, just so we have an official record of what the total cost was and what the tabulation of the points out of a possible 100 and why we're selecting Mission?
Let me get to that on my.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, if you got it there, if you could go ahead and read that. Yeah, I'm trying to find it on my board book, because I got notes here and I don't have had to open up the board book, so.
So on the request for proposal tabulation on the serving line, total price submitted by Gene's Restaurant Supply was $92,894.86. For Mission Restaurant, it was $93,900. The difference was 1,005 in the two bids. On the tabulation points, out of a possible 100 points of tabulation, Gene's Restaurant received 80 points and Mission received 98. So they scored the highest, and the price difference was 1.08%, which was hardly anything.
Thank you, Ms. Galvin. I found it now, so I'm up to speed. So thank you for saying it. Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Mission Restaurant Supply and Vendor as serving line at Rents Pass High School?
So motion.
Motion made by Mr. Galvander. A second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Flores. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next is consider and approve rescheduling of January 2023 regular board meeting to January 23rd. We've already discussed that already, I think, but but that's a date that's kind of proposed to Monday, so I'm not sure, if that's good with everybody or not. So, do we have any comments or questions on that? Okay, do you have a motion to approve rescheduling the January 2023 regular board meeting to January 23rd, 2023?
So motion.
Motion made by Mr. Galvan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, next is the discussion items. Have you any topics that anybody would like to bring up for future board meetings?
Yeah, we need to bring up the bus issue. I was out of town at a funeral and I got a call about our kids no bus showed up to take them to the Odom game. And that was, I believe, the junior high game. They had to wait on the bus. There was no bus there, so they had a game that was either forfeited or they were gonna move a timeline.
I'm not
I didn't aware of that.
I'm not aware of that. We'll look into that. Is that something you want brought back to discuss at the board meeting, or
Yes,
just
it's-
a follow-up
and
email?
I understand that we're short on bus drivers, but
Right.
back in the days, we used to make the coaches were
Right.
bus drivers. They were taken to get their deals to drive a bus.
Yes, and we're working
And
to
that-
get, yes.
And we didn't have any of this problem right now. Lately, we've had quite a few problems with busing. So I think we need to I'm not trying to blame anybody, but I think we need to find a way to fix this.
Yes, sir. So did you want this brought back as a report to the board, or you want me just to give you the information via email to all board members?
Just a report to the board.
Bring it back next month, because it'll be it'll be
Board
quite a
item
ways
or
before you
email?
know.
A board item.
Board item. As a discussion item.
Ms. Cook, something we can add on that, and I don't remember this being done lately, but maybe an update on our fleet. Maybe how old the fleet is, number of miles per bus, what the lifespan of a bus is. Maybe what the new cost of a bus, if we want to look at possibly budgeting that in the future. Maybe the number of routes we're running, if we foresee maybe increase, if our enrollment's going up, we may have future needs for increasing routes. And if we're going to increase routes, we may need an additional fleet of buses. So maybe we can just get a state of the fleet of the buses that we have.
Yeah, and that was one of actually the first topic we talked with with Jason when he arrived, was our buses and our bus drivers. So we've already been having those conversations. He started the evaluations. We just hadn't been ready to get to that point. And he's already made some corrections we've gotten more, taken care of some things. But yes, we can work to bring to you at the January board meeting that information.
And I thought we had that in a plan, a 5-year plan of changing out that fleet. It's probably been years since we bought the last bus, but
I think what happened is we did have that. We cycled through it.
yeah.
And we updated the fleet, and then once we saw where we didn't have that need anymore, it probably got
Lost.
taken out of the budget, never got put back in.
We did have a strategic plan to try to get all those rotated out.
Well, we actually, you'll see that as some of the information I put in the evaluation packet is part of the board goals with the facility study and so forth. I talked to Wayne about that just today, about working with Jason to come up with our replacement plan for our bus fleet and our AC units, because that's another high dollar cost that we need to have in rotation, just like we do with our technology plan. Those are things that you don't want to have put in place and then not have a replacement plan. So that's actually a goal that we've set to begin working on. So we're all in sync on that.
So
In
we'll
all
have
fairness, we're
like
not
I'm sorry, go
trying-
ahead, Mr. Flores.
I say in all fairness, he's new, and
Yes.
this was before he came in, so it's just something we need to help him with.
No, we are.
Yeah, so.
I was gonna kind of say something about that because, so are we asking for a departmental overview, kind of like the status of all
Just
the
an
resources
overview of what our fleet
equipment,
looks like, yep,
staffing? Okay, kind of that broader
yes.
report, okay.
Like Ms. Diaz has said, we used to have a deal, maybe put
Plan.
that back in our deal, cause, that way we don't make a gentleman trying to do his job look bad by having old buses that we're not continuing to make sure we supplying him with what's needed. So,
And they're expensive, so we definitely have to budget for them.
True.
More so now.
They're not
Really
cheap.
expensive.
Anybody else have any items, future meetings, topics? Moving on the agenda, next is to convene an executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the act, section 55.1.074, personnel, resignations, and personal management. The time is now 8:45. Close this open session and we can convene in closed session. The time is now 9:52. We reconvene, close open session, reconvene in open session, and to consider and approve any items from the closed session we discuss and approve. First on this, consider and approve resignation as recommended by administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Butler. Have a second?
second.
Second by Mr. Flores. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, and next is, do you have a motion to approve the employment letter as discussed in the executive session?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Rector. Have a second?
Second. Second.
Second by Mr. Flores. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the time is now 8:53, and with no other further business before the board, I close this meeting.
9:53.
9:53.